with another Dent Digest live show. Coming to you with my good friend here, Chad Peters from Endeavor Dent Tools. What's going on, Chad?
What's up, Ryan? What's up, YouTube?
Oh, listen to that. Got it all loud today. So let me do a little quick recap from last week. Had Steve Brown on from LA. I don't know if you guys watched that episode. He is a character, just a good dude, funny as crap, going over some of the stories that he had of dealing with celebrities. He does a bunch of celebrity cars in LA. So we are waiting for Todd Zimmerman. He's running a little behind. That's what happens when we have a live show. So let's get in a little bit of Chad Peters real quick. So how did Endeavor Dent Tools come about? How did you come up with the idea of what you wanted? Or was it just tools that you were thinking, okay, this is a tool that I think I could really use and it would fix a problem, and then you decided to come up with it?
That's pretty much it. I've just always been that guy to make and tinker, I call it, or whatever. And as soon as I started this career, I'd be out working and just my mind was going on different ways to solve a problem or to fix a dent or whatever. And originally I just started playing with ideas. I'd go work all day and I'd come home with a problem, or I had went through something that day and I got to try to figure this out. And I would play with it, come up with something, start using it, and then work around guys, friends of mine that I work around and with, and they would say, "Where'd you get that at?" And so, well, I'm playing around trying to solve this problem. And so the guy that put me to, that helped get me to start in the business, Tony Pitts, me and him were working on a Hale car, and the square rod was kind of I had played with some other ideas and small things, knockdowns and hammers and whatever, but we were working on a Hale car one night late. And every time we work together, it's this tool, that tool. What could we make? How could we do this? And we started kicking around the idea of a square rod, and it got going in my mind, and I built one, and then we started using it and realized the differences in it. So we did that.
You got to explain. You've got a little background here, so I want to fill these guys in because they really don't know Chad Peters. And Chad Peters, we've spent quite a bit of time together. We've shared some hotel rooms, and the mental capacity of this fellow right here, you have no clue, because some of the stuff that this guy talks about at 2 a.m. The first time I saw this thing, what did I say?
He shot me down, to be honest. He was like, "No, it's too light. The rubber's too soft." It wasn't going to work, basically. So,
I did.
But I'm used to that.
I did. But let me tell you, if you don't have this thing, okay, you're totally missing the game here. Because this thing, if you've watched my Instagram stories, I beat on more roofs than anybody in the country with this thing.
I would have to agree that you're right up there at the top of beating on roofs, and at least as hard as anybody.
So
no, it's that's a good example. We have some amazing tools. When you look at this industry and the size of it compared to other industries, if you compare PDR to the body shop world, we're a fraction of the size of that industry. But some of the technology and the tools and the stuff that's going on is pretty amazing.
It is.
For me, it's very easy to get, like, once you see the first blending hammer that you have, it's very easy to always picture that as a blending hammer. So I always try to start with a blank sheet of paper, and not that the others don't work, but I don't want to just recreate what's there. Yeah. I want to find something that works, but works in a different way that fills a gap. That's my whole, I just enjoy that more than anything. Like, there's so many good hammers out there. I'm a hammer guy. I've got a lot of them, but I feel like there's always that gap that can be filled. And I just enjoy trying to find that little place that there's a missing link in or something, if you will. So,
and that's the cool thing about our industry is we have guys like you know, you look in the body shop industries and it's Carliner, a lot of these big companies, big corporations, okay, that are building and manufacturing and engineering these tools. The cool thing in our industry is you're getting guys like you, perfect example, Matt here. This is Matt from Get a Grip watching. He's an avid watcher. He was on a couple weeks ago, just creating tools that make our job so much easier, that there's a need for some of these tools.
It's amazing how many dent guys are that guy. You do it every day, and I can't tell you how many conversations that I've had with dent guys that each of them have a good tool idea. I mean, really, like half or more of the guys that I talk to, they've thought of something that for them, there's that gap, that's something that doesn't do what they want it to do. And the other interesting thing, back to this, like why I decided to do it, I was working around guys and guys kept telling me to do tools, and I had no intentions of doing it. I was doing it strictly for myself. But when I work around guys, I've never seen two dent guys set up the same. I don't know about you, but everybody's carts are made up of different tools. Everybody likes different things. I'll work next to a friend of mine that's using a door tool that I don't even know if I could fix a dent with it, because I'm so used to what I'm used to.
Yes.
And he's used to what he's used to. So I realized that there's a lot of feel, there's a lot of personal preference, if you will, in tools, because they're connected to your hand. I don't know, there's something about it. Some of them really work for some guy and they don't work for the next guy. So for whatever reason, this industry allows for a guy like myself, or a lot of these guys now that are just one-man shows building a tool that suits them. And there's other guys that happen to have the same liking in a tool. So it's kind of a cool thing.
It's definitely a unique industry. You know what I mean? We do have a question for you. You are going to be at MTE, and he's asking if you'll have any discounts at your tools at MTE.
I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, Matt. I'm going to be there. Right now we've got 3 new products that I'm trying to get done, that Todd and I have, that we're trying to get done before the show. So there's a lot going on. I'm not sure how it will all play out and what the numbers will be, but the plan is to show up with all of the normal stuff and hopefully 3 new things to add to the lineup. So it'll be interesting, but at this point I can't say what we'll be doing as far as discounts or whatever, because it's going to be right down to the wire to get it all done and make it all come together. I keep looking at the calendar and it's getting closer and closer by the minute. So
Chad and I usually catch up at like 6 o'clock Fridays. He'll call me or I'll call him, and this dude works like 24 hours a day. So I can usually tell in his voice how stressed he is and what he's trying to get done. And that's what happens when it's a unique, small niche industry and you guys are physically hand building each one of these tools. What are you going to do? Because you can't hire 30 people to do it because there's not that much margin in the tool. A lot of guys look at things, they're like, man, this thing's $150. Well, bro, for one, this aluminum is extremely expensive to make. You don't just have a CNC machine laying around, or you can buy it at Target or online and bring it home and build these. You know what I mean? You're using a machine shop that is physically making these things, and it takes time and it's expensive.
It's funny. I was thinking about it today. I have some friends that do some machining for me, but the assembly all happens in-house.
Mm-hmm.
And that means me and occasionally my wife that helps me with some of the things that are doable for her.
Look at that supportive wife. Look at that.
Every single move happens, like all the assembly, the epoxy, the coating, the engraving, all of that stuff. So it's, you know, in the middle of hail season when everybody wants tools and everybody's going, it's kind of crazy sometimes because I got different things that I need to be doing and can only do one of them at the time sometimes. So, but it makes it fun. It's in the previous industry I worked in, we did much bigger numbers than PDR allows for. And in my mind, we're kind of in an odd place when you come to production because it's not custom. Like, you got custom knife builders out there that build one knife at a time. And it's not Walmart or Home Depot tools that they're being built millions at the time, because if that's the case, you employ a huge amount of resources and people, and you can do it amazingly fast and efficient and all these things because there's the return. In PDR, it's in a gap in between those two, much closer to the custom than Home Depot tools for sure. When you're building 100 tools or 1,000 tools a year or whatever it is, somewhere in that number, that's a very, very small number on production, if you will, compared to almost anything else that exists in our world. So it's at times almost should be considered custom, really, when you look at the numbers of what these small companies are doing. They're not doing production like what the normal consumer, what we're used to buying in the store. It's just much smaller than that.
We have Mr. Zimmerman in the house here.
Finally, right?
Look at this.
Got him.
What's up, Todd?
There he is.
How's it going?
Doing good. So we were just going over a little bit about good old Chad and how Endeavor Tools got started.
Yeah.
So, and I want to announce this while you're just getting on. For the listeners here, we are doing something epic at the end of this show. So if you guys want to see what happens at the end of the show, make sure you watch till the very end, and we will let you know. Uh-oh, look at this guy.
Sorry.
So I understand you've been doing a little bit of hail, Todd. How's that been going?
A little bit, not a lot.
Yeah.
I think I've done about 37 days. Good. I mean, the jobs I've done are really good, so I don't mind that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Since we started with Chad with how Endeavor started, let's get into how Carbon Tech started.
Well, started just seeing all the other, well, it was actually, I think, Drew's carbon rod, and liked the idea, but didn't like the flex on it, and was using the ultra aluminum Hale Rod at the time.
Oh yeah.
Liked the size of it, the feel of it in the hand and stuff. Thought, we could go that route, something bigger carbon fiber. Knew that if we, bigger diameter tubing is always stiffer and stronger. So picked up some and made a few prototypes and kind of just ran with it. It just kind of exploded after that, kind of started off with the original, or the original one was just similar to everybody else's where it screws together. But I had the ideas of, wanting to be able to change the heads and the handles and all that stuff, and kind of ran into the push button idea and made a really rough prototype. It's about the most loose fitting rod ever, but I got used to it and was just testing it for a year and loved it, and made it to the first MTE, I think in 16, and did really well. So pretty happy with the way it's going. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. I mean, we just got 850 never loose today. They showed up in a crate, and we had to ship out 302 of them today. So
holy crap,
we were on full time loading boxes. So
when you created the rod, what was your thought? Was it, okay, I'm going to make this with just screw in tips, or was the original idea to have the multiple ends?
Well, like I said, the original one was all screwed together, similar to what Drew's was, or the Ultra. But I'd already had bigger ideas in my head. I just hadn't figured out how to do it yet. And then when I ran, kind of figured out the push button deal and knew I could make it tight enough. Once I figured out I could make it tight enough, I knew I had something good there.
So one thing I can say about both of you guys as smaller tool companies is your customer service. And I try to bring this up periodically throughout all the shows, just saying how great our small niche industry is with customer service. You'll email somebody or Facebook message. I mean, I broke the carbon hanger from Todd that I've had for a couple of years, and he was like, "What's your address?" No questions, no issues. You know what I mean? So this industry, we're super lucky that we have guys like you that create these tools that stand up, stand behind them.
Yeah.
James Lee, a lot of you guys are just awesome.
Yeah. I think it's because we've been put in the situation before where other companies, especially like when you're doing Hale, because when you're doing Hale, you break something like a hanger or a rod like that. I mean, I broke the aluminum Ultra rod several times, and when they want to send you out new pieces, that they're asking you to pay for that overnight shipping and everything, when it's like, I can't wait 4 or 5 days for this part to come in, and I've got a line of cars to fix, so
yeah.
Between that and I think it's just my personality. I'd rather lose money than lose a customer and have somebody unhappy. So
very, very true.
That's my thought too. And it goes back to what we were talking about before. When you put them together, when you have as much time with those pieces going together and the whole process, it's just, you can't help it. I think that's why it's like that too. I mean, they're part of me. There's so much time that's put into them sometimes when they leave here. So
yeah,
it's worth losing money for it not to,
I'm definitely getting to the point where I've got employees, my son helps, I've had some of his friends helping, and of course some things don't come out exactly right, which is unfortunate. We try to keep everything as nice as possible, but some things get past us, and I always feel bad about that for sure if something gets through. So I just have a obligation,
That's good. So you obviously usually have a booth at MTE. Is that still the plan this year for Vegas?
Yep, we'll be Vegas, and then we'll be at of course Orlando.
Fun. Vegas looks like it's going to be a pretty good show.
Yeah, we'll see. They're talking about it being more of a door dinger group, which I don't know how that plays out for me because I don't really have that much stuff for door dingers. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But like I talked to Daniel Grom a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how they're having a PDR Tool Time booth, and they're going to have a car or two there, and you can try some of the manufacturer's tools out on the cars there. So it seemed like a great idea.
Yeah.
So at least they're implementing some different things in.
Yeah, I didn't know they were doing that, but that's great.
It looks like Matt's asking, do you have a new smaller adapter that'll come for Daniel Grom's hammer? Small adapter that will Daniel Grom come up with for your carbon rod available next month. I guess he's talking about the pogo stick.
Oh, it's coming. Between doing Hale and running the dent shop and doing the tools, it's a slow process on that, and plus working with Chad on some new stuff. I've got a handful of them out there getting tested. We're trying to break them, trying to figure out what we need to change, and I think we've got it pretty well narrowed down. So I would say by Orlando it'll probably be ready. Is what I'm shooting for.
So I had a question. I get quite a bit of questions during the week from guys that are avid watchers and watch all the time, and they wanted me to ask the question on, doesn't Paul Corden work at the dent shop, and your new shop is called the Dent Shop? I know the reasoning behind it, but I figured I'd let you explain the kind of merger there.
Well, I mean, we work together quite a bit on things, and I just felt like they had such a good model, and if we could piggyback off that a little bit, open in the new shop and just try to follow what they're doing. we couldn't go wrong. And they're kind of looking at the whole, kind of the franchise setup down the road.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a good way to test and, to just even if we're not like super tied, when you're doing Google searches and everything, and it would come out, it's 2 shops versus 1. It just kind of looks better and bigger. It's just one of those things. It's more of I guess marketing than anything.
Well, I think it's also their format works. So why recreate the wheel if you already have a relationship with those guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, they're people you can learn a ton from. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
So
Matt Phone saying if you need a test guy, he's the guy. He seems to break everything. So
oh, good. Maybe we can get him one. I'll see what we got.
So Chad, you also push dents every day, is what one of the guys are asking in here. You're still a dent guy. You're not just producing tools.
It has always been like that up until the last few weeks or month with hail season this year. I've had to slow down on pushing and build tools. It's pretty wide open. So yeah, I spend a lot of time in body shops and doing retail repairs, but it's definitely slowed down. The tools, it's been a good year. There's a lot of guys working hail right now, I guess. So like I said, most of the time I'm the only guy in the shop. So I've had to just stay in the shop sometimes and do it to get it done, which I think if I had my way, I mean, I love pushing dents, but there's something about building tools and thinking of new things. And
I try to ruin his day every day with a new idea.
Well, let me tell you, I shared a room with this dude, and he doesn't sleep.
Mm-mm.
He will, at 3 a.m, I'll get up to go to the bathroom, and he's still on his phone trying to figure something out that's in this dude's head. So
yep.
If you want to have a good conversation about some stuff you really don't understand, talk to Chad at MTE.
Yep.
Because he's going to speak some lingo you have no clue.
I only talk about 2 things really, and that's dent tools and motorcycles. That's it. I don't really talk about. I can't have any other conversation. But motorcycles, we can spend 3 weeks talking motorcycles. Or dent tools, we can spend the next year talking about dent tools. So
the other question is, how did this whole collaboration of Carbon Tech Endeavor come together? How did it begin?
Well, just by conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of got to know each other at the open house, and I think we just found that we thought alike about everything, and kind of look at things the same way when it comes to just products in general or ideas in general. So at least that's how I feel we got together.
Yeah, it's I've been down the road with design or innovation with different things, and I think we may both have had this conversation. To me, designing or seeing new ideas or whatever, it's like an artist. People are different. People have different ways of seeing or solving problems, and sometimes that's hard. That creates, not that one's right or wrong, but it's hard for 2 people to work together if they don't see at least a similar approach. And for whatever reason, Todd and I just seem to be really close, but then he'll catch me when I'm off or vice versa. Just we're really close wavelengths, but when something gets off, we tend to see the little gap or the little miss, and that's an interesting thing for me because I've tried to do it with a lot of different people, and it doesn't always work because we're like coming from such different angles. It's just sometimes hard to get on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't often have that problem. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, is it kind of 2 ideas going to one product, or is it kind of like, hey, I think I can, like your new carbon hanger, you guys have been auctioning it off. That looks awesome. It's kind of your carbon end with his end caps. Is that kind of you guys just throwing stuff together, trying to see what'll stick?
Well, first I came up with this. I just had an idea that I wanted him to produce just because I thought it was right up his alley, and I threw the idea out to him, and within 2 days he had a prototype done and ready to ship out to me. I was like, all right, well, that's cool. And then we just started throwing ideas at each other, and it just snowballed. I mean, like quick, because I'm kind of like an idea guy. I can come up with a lot of the basics part, the idea, and the kind of maybe the rough direction. And he's definitely the technical guy that can get the details worked out quick.
Oh, yeah.
So
it takes both of those people. That's what's really interesting, though. I think it's why it works. It's hard to start from a blank sheet of paper and end up with a product as a one-man show. I've done it with other things. I've done it with tools. It's hard to not have somebody to bounce an idea off of or say, do you even think this is going to work? Or to have that person that's going to catch you when you just have a complete oversight of something that you've got tunnel vision on it and you're not seeing it right. And that split second, they say, well, that's not going to work because of this. So it saves you a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of going down the wrong road, I think. It makes for a quicker process. And I think it's inevitable that the product in the end ends up better when it can go back and forth between two minds. I'll say that.
Well, I think each person kind of specializes in one thing. They seem to be a little better at one thing, a little faster at one thing, and it really helps. Now, how hard is the manufacturing part of the product? The machining, the building, average. What's the hardest part of the process? Is it the CAD drawings, the ideas,
I think
or the actual manufacturing?
I think it's just getting to that final product, and once the final product's proven and tested, then the parts just run. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of fact ordering and assembling pretty easily and stuff. But it's definitely getting that finished product, to the market. That's for me, that's the hardest part, because sometimes it takes months and months. I mean, just like this pogo stick deal, it's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not because I've been working on it solid for 2 years, but it's like you get one idea and you get it going, and then you get another idea, and that idea can go to market faster. And so that one goes on the other thing goes on the back burner, and it's kind of a circle of stuff. And then, it's definitely you got to pick your battles sometimes, of what's going to, sell and what's going to sit on the shelf, or what's going to, you don't really know, and how things are going to go. For me, like the pogo stick idea, we came out with it in pretty much in one design last year, and let Daniel ground test it for a while, just the one item. And then this year it's a totally different product. I mean, and it'll change again too. Just basically from working with Chad, we came up with a couple different designs for the locking system, and so it's going to keep changing. So
that thing's going to be badass.
I think so.
It's going to be a game changer for the big dent.
Yeah.
And that's
now,
in my mind, there's a whole new road to go down with that too. So it's interesting. That's a whole new segment that's getting bigger and bigger.
Well, I mean, you see the industry shifting too. You see the industry kind of converting over from hail and some door dings and some smashes to more collision. I mean, you even see Kiko really taking the advantage of the glue pull system now. A lot of my shops are implementing that and gluing them and pulling them with the frame machines, pulling rockers and lower dog legs and stuff. So I see the industry shifting for guys like me. Obviously, I'm not a hail guy, but it shifts to the smashes that I do every day. You know what I mean? It's a huge change in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tools, the innovation of tools. I mean, I use both of your guys' rods weekly on different instances. You know what I mean? I mean, I do a ton of roofs, so I use rods weekly, and they both have their purpose, and they both work in different ways. But that innovation wasn't there 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. You know what I mean? So how do you guys see, what do you see in the future for just the industry, as in tool manufacturing, as in where the business is headed? I'm hitting you with some good ones today.
It's interesting. I mean, in my mind, there's still a huge amount of room for improvement or details. Me coming from the big dent side, we have some great stuff that I think's been, revolutionary in the last few years. But the expectations and what I'm asked to fix on a daily basis is becoming more and more absurd almost. So I think the tools have to evolve for that. That's like the fork in the road. There's that fork that's big dent retail stuff. And then the Hale stuff, it's a whole different set of tools. It's a whole different set of mindset. So as it becomes more extreme in both ways, I've been on the phone 2 or 3 times today with guys that are doing Hale, and everybody's like, there's no easy damage anymore on Hale. Everything I'm running across is big, nasty stuff. All the power boxes, everything that's happening there, we're having to fix bigger stuff and have to do it faster to make money. So I think that's where the room is still there for innovation. That's what keeps me going anyways. It's probably not going to be as easy. It's going to be bigger steps, more money to solve the problems, I think. Mm-hmm. But there's still room to grow.
Yeah, I think like you said, Kiko's, really bringing it in the direction it's probably going to really head, and that's towards a collision. And I think biggest reason for that is, the unispotters or whatever, the burn that E-coat off the back, and you can't always repair that. Well, glue pull, it's getting so good, they're not even going to need those, those spotters at all. So, there's a million body shop guys that can learn, at least rough PDR or glue pulling. And I don't know if my carbon rod will translate over to that because of cost, but we can maybe make aluminum, just a section for them to use that pogo stick setup we're building. And but the nice thing, like, if the few thousand guys that have the Carbon Tech rod now can just buy this add-on and use their rod that they've been using for doing Hale or whatever, so that's kind of the direction we've been going, is that just making the Carbon Tech rods just become a modular system. And that's why, I think I commented the other day when a guy's asking about a one-piece carbon rod.
This morning I saw that too.
And I'm like, why do you need a 48-inch carbon rod when you get you get a Carbon Tech, you get it all, and you get it 48 inches, you can run it from a little under 2 feet all the way up to 10 feet, so it's it doesn't make sense to have extra stuff in your arsenal to me sometimes, but I guess there's a place for everything, some of the smaller diameters and stuff, for sure. But the direction of the industry, who knows? I think me and Chad are just kind of looking at all the stuff that's out there, and some of the stuff to us is archaic, the way it's built, and we're trying to solve, I think, some of the smaller issues on the bigger items, if that makes any sense. For us, the light stand has been a big issue, I think, for everybody. I think we all use the best light stand we think that's out there, but I don't think anybody's really happy with the ones that are out there.
What do you use?
I've got a Pro PDR.
Yeah.
And it works good. But I just think, everything can be a little better and more precision, more, I don't know. How would you say, Chad? What am I looking for?
Finesse, cleaner.
It's funny because Todd and I come from opposite ends of the world. Every time we start talking about something, he goes back. He's a Hale guy. For me, I'm not saying speed is not critical, but it's often a different approach. But I think when I think about the question he asked, like, if you sort out all of those little details and the way that light stand works and the moves that it makes, it's effortless. And they work now, but I think both of us really get a kick out of finding something that is a little nuanced that you have to do sometimes 10, 15, 20, 50 times a day. That once you sort it out, you go, oh my gosh, why didn't I have this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, So you said a minute ago, the little problems. I think it is. It's little things now. Like, we've got some really good stuff, but it's like tweaking some little part of it or one little piece of it or whatever that that speeds it up, makes it easier, makes it to where it's not a thought anymore.
Yeah, just like the
just
never
makes
loose.
it
The
more
never loose,
enjoyable, if you will. I don't know.
the never loose is just one little part of a light stand. You know, we got rid of the other color, put the never loose on, and it just changed the whole way that light works. And it does save you a lot of time. And the reason why I talk about speed a lot is because of Hale. You know, Hale, again, like you said earlier, you know, you got to be faster. You know, and it's you know, it's all about getting out as many dents as possible and as fast as you can with Hale. You know, and you know, clean, but everything's, you know, every little thing that can speed you up makes you more money.
And I can tell you, like when I was in the market to buy a Haillight here the last couple months, there's so many options out there anymore. And I kept hearing, well, you know, I'm more of a door dinger guy, smash guy, and they're like, well, the never loose doesn't really, you know, it doesn't do really what you need. And I use the shit out of that thing, and I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
If you know, with the extendable boom, that helps a lot with it, to where you can get it low. But well,
there might be a little tweak there, Todd?
Yeah. Yeah, we got some new stuff coming out for that. We're working on it.
To me, that never loose, I've heard people talk about the price. If you look at that, that's a perfect example of a nuance that seems insignificant until the first time that you mount that light up and use it. And then the cost becomes absolutely insignificant. Like, you don't care about the cost anymore. Ryan, we had the conversation. Once you use it and you take the light on and off and you see how it works, and you then realize how bad you've been fighting with every previous version that you've had before, the cost and that buyer's remorse or the thought that you even had about the cost is completely diminished. You don't think about it ever again.
For me, as a mobile guy,
that's a perfect example of what we get. I think we have a fun time looking for and trying to solve.
As for a mobile guy, that I don't know how you can do it. Like in my situation, the way my truck's set up, I couldn't use that light as much as I do because it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Now with that, I mean, 2 seconds it's on, 2 seconds it's off. It's back in the truck. There isn't a whole lot of stuff you have to do, and it's so simple. Yeah. It works. It's changed for me. It's changed even in the last 4 months. It's changed for me. Yeah. You know, it's night and day.
You before, when we were talking, you were telling me, you were sending me pictures of you working really significant damage off of
a limited light.
A limited light, which nothing against it, but the field of view that you have in that light is limiting on that kind of damage.
Yep.
And in my opinion, the reason you were doing that is because it was too frustrating to get out a bigger light and deal with.
Yes.
That one investment in the never loose changes the whole process.
Oh yeah.
You know, those are things. That's what I'm saying. It's not a new light, something. It's the thing that connects the two that makes a difference. And you start looking, and there's a lot of little things like that that can make a big difference. They're just a little piece of the puzzle, but they can make a big difference.
Yep.
The Pro PDR stand's easy for me too because the legs fold up nice. I mean, Chad and I talked about it at Anson. I looked at and pushed and knocked over every light and every stand at Anson Open House, and I was stuck in between the Pro PDR and Jake's new stand. You know what I mean? The D stand, and the problem I had with the D stand was it was too light. It didn't seem it kept falling over really easy. Granted, I didn't have a whole lot of weight on there, but the Pro PDR seemed a little more stable.
Yeah.
So I do have a question here. He says, Todd, will you have a 6-inch Hale Rod adapter at MTE?
Yes. I have those. I have a bunch of them.
6-inch Hale Rod adapter.
Yeah. So it's just a little piece of 6-inch carbon fiber. And it's used to take your one foot. Yeah, there you go. That's it. You can make your 1 foot or 2 foot or 36-inch extension. It allows you to put a head and handle on it and make it a short rod. We also can use that itself with a collet head and a handle, or even a short extension. And we got all our different collet head ends that you can use and make a short rod, or, you know.
And it works for such a simple fix. Daniel helped you with this, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep. Daniel's helped me with a lot of stuff. He throws out ideas all the time. He's
guy.
He's great for the industry.
I got a real problem with him on the phone because we just sat on the phone talking about tools, and I'm like, man, I got to go to work. I mean, we got to work. But his ideas, he just constantly regenerates ideas on things. How can he make it better? And that's just his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not just a guy who fixes big dents. He's a guy who is figuring out how to fix them easier and faster all the time, constantly. And so he's great for us. I mean, he throws out ideas all the time, and I'm all ears when it comes to his ideas for sure.
So do you guys have some new stuff coming out? Some new collaboration stuff? Obviously, we're not going to get into real detail because I think you guys are going to try to really show them at MTE, correct?
Yeah. I think we could probably talk a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you guys have coming? Just to get it out there.
You asked a minute ago about the hanger and the carbon version of the hanger. That Todd mentioned that he had called me about another hanger idea that I think has evolved into another really good solution. But then when this kind of snowballed into ideas and we started talking about doing this 2MB1 thing, it was a perfect kind of segue into what we're trying to do. It took a little bit of mine and a little bit of his and put them together and just, made even a better version of what I had. I didn't do a carbon version because that was kind of his thing. And I like to stay in my own lane. But now we have a mutual medium between us, I guess. So it was the perfect segue into what we have coming. It's not, I say that because I feel like the stuff that we have coming is a better representation of what we've been working on. You know what I'm saying? It's new, cool ideas, finding new ways to do things. That's a cool, to me, it just took both of our worlds and they met in the middle. So it was like the perfect thing to launch on, but there's more coming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we got a new.
It will be at MTE.
Yeah. We got a new addition to our hood stand, and I think as an accessory, and I think it's. I've been testing it the last few weeks up doing Hale, and absolutely love it. So I think guys are going to love them. We'll have them there. It's just kind of a new way to strap your hood down and get it extremely tight. So
I've been watching your little dives out there with the questions. I'm like, Todd's asking a lot of questions about some tools.
Yeah.
So
I got to get a feel of things sometimes. Sometimes you think you have a good idea, and then a couple months down the road you realize it's probably pretty shitty. But you can throw out some questions out there and kind of get some feedback. You got to get a better idea quicker, I think. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a great product. So I think guys are going to love it.
It's funny because the going back to us coming from kind of the fork in the road, not that he doesn't do big damage, but I just don't do a lot of hail. So he brings that to the table for me. Like, he needed to solve the hood stand problem. So he took pieces of the puzzle and put them together in his head, and we started talking about it. And in a few days, we've got a solution started, and it works. So that for me is unique because I'm not going to spend that much time on a hood stand. Usually if I have my hood stand out, it's got a door on it. More often than a hood half the time, it's got a door or a deck lid or something on it. So that's the aspect of it. Like, he brought that thought to my mind for us to sort out that I probably wouldn't have even worried about addressing that issue because I just don't deal with it that much. So that's the other interesting dynamic, that we exist in different worlds every day and can figure out a problem and then meet in the middle and try to solve it.
Well, so I think it's awesome that
the system that he's come up with for the hood stand, it's pretty impressive. I hope I think with what he's telling me, we can get some video showing how stout it is. And I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome when you have two guys, Chad has a Hale Rod, you sell a Hale Rod, And I think it's cool when both you guys can collaborate and make products even better. You know, I wish there was more companies out there that would kind of merge together to really bring some more to the table.
Yeah.
You know,
The hanger, I really wish I could show it right now, but I just can't. He took the idea that I had to solve the problem of leverage in a door or a hatch with the ratchet straps and saw it a different way. And for me, that's my tunnel vision. That's how I had solved it. It worked, and it probably will evolve, would have evolved down the road, but he saw it a different way coming from a different world. And when he called me about it, as soon as he said it, I started piecing it together in my head. And what it did is take the way he's used to working, the way his rod works, some of the benefits of that, and pairs it with some of the benefits again of mine, and solves the problem in a different way. I wish I could show it. It will be at MTE, and we may be out before then. We may do some little teasers, but it takes the benefits of the ratchet system of my hanger and adds some things and some versatility to it that hanger doesn't do. So they both create leverage, but they do it in a different way, and one will be more advantageous than the other in certain situations. I wouldn't have thought of it that way because I just didn't see it that way, and he did. So we've been able to bring it together, and it's going to be pretty cool. I'm a hanger guy. I've got a lot of time in that hanger. Spent a lot of nights trying to get to that solution. So to see him take a little piece of it and then bring me the idea and us kind of conjure up this other solution that I would have never come to myself is pretty cool. Yeah,
that's kind of how. I mean, not that he hadn't thought of doing a carbon version of it, but when I finally saw his hanger, I thought there's no point in even making mine really because his is so much better. So I figured, well, let's do a carbon version. Maybe he'd let me sell it if we did a carbon version.
Mm-hmm.
So I recognize when something's a lot better, for sure. And I mean, you can't beat it. That thing's awesome.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely with the way it ratchets. The game changer, certainly in some of the doors that are angled and you're not slipping around as much.
Yep. I've been using it, this last month, and it's awesome. It's definitely way better than the ones
I'm telling you, Ryan,
doing.
The new one, I'm excited about it, man. It's, it gives the versatility with a whole different versatility, a whole different deal than what that platform. The bar works really great for some situations, but there's some that it doesn't. And this fills that gap. We go back to where we started, Brian, where I get the kick off of filling the gap. It wasn't my idea. We just kind of met in the middle on it, but it fills that gap. So it gives me the versatility that I wanted and another benefit that my other hanger doesn't. So it's cool. I mean, that's what does it for me, is finding those little things and being able to solve them. It's going to be cool.
We've got a local guy here. He's a Dent Wizard guy in my area. He's asking, he doesn't do a lot of hail, but he'd like to have an extended rod for truck beds. The problem is the rods are too thick in diameter to get in there. Any thoughts? My personal thought is Chevy Silverados, I'll use Chad's rod with the witch's finger all the way at the front of the cab on an 8-foot bed all day long. Some of the Dodges, because the opening's smaller.
Chad's rod? Is your rod that long?
I use yours.
I have a 70-80.
I use the Carbon Tech one that goes all the way.
Yeah.
With the new Dodges that have the smaller opening, I use Chad's because it's thinner and it's square. But I mean, what other options does he really have?
I don't know. I use ours on the Chevys and the Dodges. I haven't used it on the new Dodge. I haven't done one of the brand new Dodge bedsides yet that I can remember. I know we did some last year. I just can't remember if I used them on it. But yeah, the last previous body style Dodge, I just opened that tail light up a little more and hang a ring off that upper clip hole and work it just like the Chevy. You can go all the way to the front. And I mean. Yeah. There's no better way to fix a bedside than from the back. I mean, it's the way somebody's going to look at it when you're done. And, you can rip through a Hale car down the bedside. It's almost more it's more exciting to use on a bedside and how good it works doing hail than it is on the roof, because you know how it's going to perform on the roof. But when you use it on the bedside for the first time, you can rip through 300 dents in like an hour. You're like, wow, this is a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
it is funny how it's such an oversight. I've had conversations with numerous people about Hale rods, my rod, anybody's rod, and you talk about using the bedside. Like, oh man, I never thought about using the bedside. Like they're in their mind, they think Hale rod, they use it on a roof. But I'm like Todd. I mean, I get just as much. I fixed a lot of big damage on bedsides with it from the tail light that I couldn't fix any other way. I mean, I laugh. I use my rods that I call Hale rods for bedsides more than I use them for anything, because that's where I spend. I mean, I use them all the time in bedsides.
And it's so crazy with the perception of just our tools in our industry. I've got my Carbon Tech rod in a gun case because it keeps all the attachments together. I walk in the shop, I've got the gun case, I set it down and open up, and the body guy's like, what in the hell is that? And you start putting it together, and they're like, that thing is awesome. Yeah. And they're like, well, how much was that? And I'm like, well, I probably got like, I don't know, 2,000 wrapped up in everything. And they're like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, and this is a true story. I saw Todd 2 years ago at MTE. I walk up, it's him and his wife. He doesn't know me from Adam. And I'm like, hey, I need to buy you a beer. Thank you. And he looks at me and he's like, what's that? And I said, your rod made me more money than any tool in my bag. It did. That thing. And I looked when I first bought it. He's like, why'd you wait so long to buy it? And I'm like, I'm not a Hale guy. Yeah. What I had worked, but these tools, man.
That's why we're doing the pogo stick attachment, and we're looking into some other stuff too that I think will help it cross over and create that value for a guy who doesn't necessarily do a lot of hail, but still could benefit from it when they do the hail, and benefit from it any other time of day. And I've always thought, I mean, my thought is, and I've always said it, that if it fits, it fixes. If it fits in the panel, it's going to help fix it. It's always been, with dent repair, leverage is the biggest thing. And I've always subscribed to the bigger the tool I can get on it, the better, the easier it is to fix. And
they all have their place. You know what I mean? Like, perfect example. I use Chad's little 3-foot rod for fenders all day long. Yeah, because it's flat, it sits nicely on the tire, the angle tip. They all have their place. Yeah. You look at a lot of these companies are like, well, a Stucky light and a Limitant light. Well, they're competitors. They're very different in their different ways. You know what I mean? You can all use them. Stucky's thinner, lighter. You know what I mean? There's so many different options for all the tools out there. That's the one thing I really enjoy is the different options for different tools. Yeah. So you guys. Now, Chad, are you showing some tools in Todd's booth? Is it the collaboration tools, or I know you're doing some stuff with Anson too, correct? At MT?
Yeah, Anson will be there. I will be at the show. I'm not going to set up a booth. We'll have the 2MB1 products there. Todd will have them in his booth. I'll be around and be there the whole time for sure, but I'm not going to actually set up a booth. Anson does a great job helping me distribute mine, and they'll have them. And right now my head is down on getting my production done for the EDT stuff, but this new stuff has me excited, and I want to have enough of it and have it sorted by going into MTE. So that's my focus. So it will be in the Carbon Tech booth. Like I said, right now the plan is to have the new carbon hanger version, and then another mystery hanger, and then the new hood stand system for strapping hoods down on. Right now, the system is exclusive for Todd's stand. It works. It's kind of like the pieces were just made to go together. It just almost fell together. So,
yeah, it was awesome. It was really. It was like it was meant for this stand for sure. But we want to, like Chad's leading to here, is we want to be able to make it universal as well, which will be probably for Orlando.
I guess I'm going to have to buy a Carbon Tech hood stand this trip, huh?
Yep.
It's good anyways, but this is going to be, it's just a cool addition. It's a cool way that it's similar to what's there, but again, it's a little nuance change that changes things, that makes it different, or in our opinion, better. So
yeah, and you won't have to bolt hoods down anymore, and you'll get the same. You'll actually get a better hold, because it'll be on all four corners rather than just bolted in the back and tie straps in the front. So it's gonna be pretty badass.
I got two questions
here. I can't stand when the panel's moving around.
Todd, are you having any discounts at MTE?
Yeah, we'll be doing. I don't know how much yet. I'm probably not going to bring as much product. My plan now, because of how bad MTE was last year, is to bring less product, maybe just enough for maybe foreigners to take, and then just to offer free shipping and a good discount. Because it's, well, MTE Orlando, it's, you know, I have to ship so much stuff over there. I just lose a lot in shipping when I could just give that as a free shipping to the customer and just save the hassle of shipping everything over.
Yeah. And I think I had your stuff from MTE like 2 days or something, 3 days. Yeah. I mean, it was fast coming back. So
yeah. So
the other question I have, if someone's asking, is Don Cavanaugh's new handle going to be there? Chad.
Yeah, I hope so. I've got a bunch of them here in house. I got to figure all that out, how I'm going to get them, or, you know, where they'll be in the show, but the plan is for them to be there. I've got a bunch of them ready to go. So I know Don's going. That's been a fun little project with Don and I. We talk ideas too. Don's a veteran and has a lot of cool ideas, like I said, like every dent guy does. And that was it's a fun project, and it fills a little gap. It changes that one tool into something that makes that saves the repair, you know? So I'll do my best to get them there and have them available and where they can be seen there, probably with Anson or somebody. So
is Don still going to make it now that his house got hailed on?
I talked to him a couple days ago, and he was pretty covered up. So he may have changed his mind after. Yeah. He was telling me the numbers that he had booked in the first 2 days, and he's going to be
crazy.
Busy, it looks like. So,
and that's some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the pictures I've seen he sent over, I was like, I love living in Maryland because we don't get stuff like that much. You know, and Todd's actually from Maryland. Look at that.
Well, for a little while. I lived there for about almost 5 years. Did a lot of racing, motocross racing up and down the East Coast there.
Fun. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. You know, I wanted to get you guys out there. A lot of people were asking about what's up with this collaboration and you know, why are they doing it? And I'm like, it's freaking awesome. It was awesome. You
know why we're doing it? We're doing it because we enjoy designing stuff. And you know, when I used to race motocross, I actually, you know, when I was 17, I started painting motorcycle helmets, and I did that for about 10 years. And we're looking back, the one thing I wish I would have done was hire another artist at least, and, you know, a few other people, but another artist specifically to bounce ideas off of, because you can get so pigeonholed. You know, you start designing a product in your head, and it's almost like, you know, it's like when you forget somebody's name and you think of a name and you know it's not right, but that's the only name you can think of, and so you get so pigeonholed in the way you're looking at something. And then when you know, I've got something in my mind and I throw it out at Chad and he looks at it a different way, and then I'm like, okay, now I can see it. Now I can see the way it's going, and it needs to go this way, you know. And I guess the same thing happens with dent repair. I don't know how many times I've had, you know, struggling to get on a dent or something, and somebody walks over and just sticks a tool on it from a different direction, because they, you know, it's the collaboration is awesome. I mean, not only are we coming up with good stuff, but we're solving the problems really fast, you know, especially with Chad's equipment. I mean, he's got the 3D printer and the machines and all that stuff that I don't have. You know, I have to go usually to a machine shop, and then I got to wait for their schedule to clear and all that stuff to get a prototype made. And that's pretty difficult, where he can just, you know, like I said, the new mystery hanger, I literally threw the idea out to him, and the next day he's showing me pictures of prototypes. And by the third day, it was like ready to ship. So I was like, there you go.
Ryan probably can vouch for, like, when something like the late nights in the hotel when I can't sleep. It's not that I don't want to sleep, but when something goes in there, it's got to come out.
Yeah.
And that's what expedites it. It's like, if it doesn't, I'm just going to be in torture until it does. So I have to be able to get it out quick. And it's been an advantage for me in this. It's a sickness or something. I don't know. I wish that I could just go to sleep some nights and not think about dent tools. Last week, I spent a few days at the beach, and I text out a picture. I'm on the beach thinking about how to solve dent tool problems. I wish that I didn't have to do that all the time, but that's what it is right now. And I think that's why this works. I've talked to a lot of guys that have really good ideas and think about solving problems, but I would say that it's almost to the level of addiction for Todd and I. Like, we literally can't stop thinking about what to solve next. And
it goes on in other other life things too. I mean, I've thrown out another probably 10 ideas to you that are outside of PDR. We don't necessarily want to just stick to the PDR. We want to get something out there one of these days that's, mainstream product that we can, maybe retire on.
Make some real money,
some real money, yeah.
And I don't want to make this clear too. A lot of these guys are newer guys that are in here right now, and these guys aren't millionaires. They're not making millions of dollars off these tools. The margins on these tools are very small. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at the pricing on some of these and people are like, man, that's really expensive. And I look back and you're like, one car, you're going to make your money back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't price it high to try to rip people off, but there's, manufacturing. Well, I should say prototyping and getting to the manufacturing stage is really expensive. And then once you get there, then we're not big enough to be able to buy containerfuls of each part that we need to get that really low cost like some of these big manufacturers can. So, we order 100 parts at a time and maybe 100 or 200, and it's just not. I mean, you just don't get that big of a break on it. And then the fact that the market's pretty small, and you've got a shelf life, so to speak, on each product, where it's going to sell really big at first, and then it starts tapering off, and then it's just goes out a little bit at a time, and so you're never able to just sit on a product and make a bunch of money. You have to constantly come up with new stuff to actually feed the machine. Yeah. So it's kind of a big circle.
What is your big seller?
Plays right into the way that we work. Like, we always want something new. So
yeah,
unfortunately, you don't build a product and ride it for 6, 8, 10 years and make millions of them. But it kind of fits our model, because like tomorrow he'll call me or I'll call him with like, hey, what about if we did this? Like, we want to be doing something new. So yeah, as complicated as it can make it, it's kind of a good fit, this industry size, for me, because there is that shelf life, and you have to be looking to be ahead of when it falls, or you're behind the curve. So your mind can sometimes, to a deficit, always go crazy for the next thing.
So out of both of you guys, if you had to pick one tool that is your top seller, what is your top seller that you sell the most of?
Well, we definitely sell a lot of Hale Rods and a lot of Neverloose. The Neverloose are, I think we're somewhere around 4,000 sold already in the last, a year and 3/4 or something, year and a half.
For me, it's the door hanger, for sure. A lot of guys get the door hanger and then they end up, getting the hatch hanger, but the door hanger is pretty versatile, and that's nice for me, because the rod for me was just a shot in the dark to try something square, and it does really work well for me. But the thing that I had the most time in and the most effort, and it's a long story how it come to be, and those straps, and when I used them before, I was trying to solve that many different ways and didn't realize that I had already used that solution before on a different project. And when it all came together, I just got a lot of time and energy in that. So it's nice to see that it works for people. And
well, I'll give you a quick example of how our relationship works right now. Chad, I'm going to throw out an idea for you right now, and I'm going to ruin his night.
Where's my tablet? I'll start drawing right now. I won't sleep tonight.
Just know that your rod would be perfect for what I'm doing with this pogo stick. Your rod's it could be probably easier to do it with than what I'm doing.
I know. I thought the same thing, but
we actually had this conversation at Anson Open House.
Yeah,
it was a Hale Expo.
His is actually built better for it than mine, for sure. But and you're definitely welcome to work on it because it will be totally different, but it'll be great. I mean, so
that pogo stick is for a big damage guy. That video that Daniel did, what is it? It's been a week or two ago.
Yeah,
where he did that fender.
Okay,
and the hatch. He did one on a fender though.
Yeah,
that was a good example. I've got the Cam Auto bridge, and it's been a game changer for me. I've made repairs that I had 3 or 4 body guys standing around saying that it wasn't going to happen. But
that's the best motivation.
Cam Auto bridge, what's that?
That's the best motivation.
Oh yeah. But as versatile and as powerful and capable as those bridges are, they can't do what that does in certain places. They don't set up this, they don't, it's again, there are multiple ways to solve the problem, and sometimes they don't cross. Like one works great over here, but it won't work at all over there. So that setup and the way, Daniel showed using it on that fender and the gate, it's a way of repairing that big damage that really hasn't been available to us. We got these big, huge tabs now, but if you can't pull them, what good are they? That allows you to pull them in the situations where the others don't, in that specific situation.
I've got some ideas.
Again, another little nuance. So.
Yeah.
I've got some power pulling ideas for brick and mortar shops as well too, and possibly mobile if it goes right. But I mean, they're down the road for sure. But I got a lot of ideas. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate you guys being innovators in this industry that have made me personally more money and made my job easier. And it's just better on the body. A lot of these tools are just better every day pushing. So I personally appreciate it. And I really appreciate you guys coming on the show for sure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So Chad, I'm going to let you announce the news that I said was going to come out. Let you go through it and put it out there. So and we will start it now.
So Ryan, he's doing these giveaways and stuff, which is awesome to get tools back in guys' hands and stuff. And we had talked about it, and I always like to mix it up. So instead of announcing it and getting people here because we're doing a tool giveaway, we figured all of you guys that have stuck around and listened to us ramble and talk about tools get a shot at one of a very limited number now of the 2MB1 hanger, 16-inch carbon fiber door hanger. What we're going to do, Ryan's going to throw up the comments, and I've got a spin wheel app on my tablet. So when he says go, the first 10 guys that comment, I'm going to hit this button, and whatever number it lands on, your comment number that corresponds with that number, I'll send it to you.
So I'm going to hit it, and it's going to say giveaway, and any comment after the giveaway comment, we're going to go at. We're going to let it go. What do you want
to comment, Ryan?
Dent Digest.
Dent Digest. The first 10.
9/11. We're going to we'll do the first 10. Ready, set, go. See who gets in here.
We need some of that game show music.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man, if I would have thought about that.
I could probably make that happen really quick, but no, it seems like my
so
phone's
we're at 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's sad because we had 27 in here.
Shit, I can't see him.
We're rolling.
5.
6. Yeah, we had 27. Now we're down to 12 or 14.
I guess we were talking too long.
It's all good. They'll get over it.
that's kind of why I wanted to do it this way. Ryan usually announces this, which is really cool.
Yeah, try to
But
push
like
it.
I said, I always like to throw a curveball. So I told him, I was like, let's just hold out and do it right at the end round. And
we're going to let it go until 9/11.
Listening to us ramble.
9/11, we're going to cut it off. It's a terrible number.
We got 6 right now.
Let's see what we got.
Watch this. We can just back this number.
We're at 8 right now.
It's a great product.
There's something about carbon fiber. Like when I hold it in my hand, carbon just has a different feel. You talk about the guys, the seat, when you open the case up, people get googly eyed now over carbon.
We got 9. Run it. Let it run. It's 9/11.
We got 9.
Yep.
I need to add one back. A number 9. This is really messed up here.
Look at that. You're doing great.
Backwards.
Number 3.
2.
Number
Is it
2.
Yeah.
Scott Simpson. Look at that. Scott Simpson is the winner of the carbon door hanger. Look at that.
Congratulations. Now, are you going to engrave the name on it?
Yeah.
Scott is Keller Dent Repair. So I got Scott's address. Just resend it. Just make sure I've got the right thing. I'll get it over to Chad and he will get that out. Scott was just my winner from last week on the Ants and Glue giveaway. So he's on a winning roll there.
5 or 7 or 8 posts down said, I feel like he's on a winning streak. I think he's right. Go buy a lottery ticket or some scratch off, Scott.
Well, thank
2
you
weeks
guys
in a
for
row.
coming on.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And remember, guys, next week, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, got another guest on, and keep it real. See you guys.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, guys.